President Trump's stake in his media and tech company is now worth more than $2 billion with a B. That is bolstered mainly by Bitcoin, PPB. Those assets are held in a trust while he's in office. But how much will he ultimately benefit from new policies he's pushing from the Oval Office? Joining us now, NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans and CNBC senior analyst Ron Insana. All right. Someone's got to break this crypto thing down for me in layman's terms. What is Donald Trump doing with crypto?
Donald Trump is running an administration that is deregulating or becoming more embracing crypto from the government perspective. At the same time, he and his family are investing in it and actually own a platform to trade it in their private fortune. An unprecedented two sides, the administration, full force, we're going to be the crypto capital of the world, the president and his family profiting on it at the same time.
That's like owning a bunch of buildings and then deciding that you're going to cut out all the red tape federally for building on federal property. Is that what it is?
Yes and no, but this is even more direct than that, Katie. Insofar as, again, as Christine suggested, they're passing legislation that directly benefits the trust of which the president is beneficiary.
How is he getting away with this?
I don't know, because in my entire lifetime, and really going back many, many years, if you are president, you divested your assets if they were publicly traded entities or if they were another kind of investment. They went into a blind trust that was managed by an institution, not your son, and you were not necessarily the beneficiary directly of a revocable trust. It was a blind trust that you did not know or could not know what was going on within it while you were in office.
How much money is he going to be making off of this?
Well, they have $2.3 billion worth of Bitcoin that they just purchased through the Trump media company. Then there's the other crypto company that was a World Liberty Financial.
And we have seen some of those disclosures that he personally, $50 million, I think, over the past year. Reuters has an estimate that the family and Trump together is something like $600 million over the past year.
These are people who are constantly claiming that Joe Biden profited off the presidency and his son profited off the presidency. They investigated him. They believe that there was untoward wheeling and dealing behind the scenes.
A lot of quid pro quos.
A lot of quid pro quos. I just don't understand how they can say that with a straight face and then also make this money. What is the explanation?
I don't know that there is one. I mean, the Congress is extremely compliant and not enforcing anything. They also happen to trade, by the way, rather actively themselves, and have not enforced any inside trading regulations on themselves, those members of Congress.
I'm sorry, what makes this different from insider trading with stocks?
Well, I mean, it's interesting insofar as stocks are really the only asset class that have insider trading rules per se. Crypto does not. Nor does trading in bonds and foreign exchange. But this is different in the sense that the president is directly signing legislation that benefits him and his family without any comment either from Congress or the courts.
He was a crypto skeptic. I'm old enough to remember when he was a crypto skeptic, but now he understands the energy in the space. And look, this week they signed the Genius Act. Congress signed the Genius Act, which gives the rules of the road for stablecoin, which the Treasury Secretary says is going to be good for treasuries, that it's going to, but
$3 trillion worth of demand for treasuries to back these so-called stablecoins that can be used in various types of transactions.
What's the difference between a stablecoin and a Bitcoin?
It's backed in the dollar. It's more of a stable coin, I guess. It's a much smaller market than a Bitcoin, however.
And you have to have a dollar's worth of assets behind a dollar's worth of stable coin.
Have other presidents faced corruption allegations like this? Have they been this corrupt and gotten away with it?
Well, certainly Richard Nixon was probably chief among them, insofar as Watergate wasn't a scandal that not only got him impeached, but also ultimately he stepped down. Going back to 1952, which is a clip you're looking at right now from the so-called Checkers speech, he got $18,000 from a donor group, which he disclosed. His kids also got a dog from a donor, which he disclosed on national TV when he was vice president candidate with Dwight Eisenhower.
Dog was named Checkers, right?
Checkers. And so we're going to keep Checkers. And there were jokes about that. And his wife didn't have a mink coat. She had a respectable Republican cloth coat, which was the line that he used in that speech. This is all quaint by comparison. I mean, even in 1952, when $18,000 was a lot, it pales in comparison to what we're seeing today.
There's Bill Clinton, the Whitewater scandal.
He lost money.
We'll talk about that.
He lost money. We would have never known about Whitewater were it not for Monica Lewinsky's dress.
But this is different. The president has a brand as a wheeler dealer, a guy who puts his name on steaks and wine and airplanes and
Bibles.
and wants to.
Bibles.
It's not as if this has been his persona from day one.
Yeah,
from
he's
the
been
jump.
getting away with it since he first ran for office. So why would we question whether he would still be able to get away with
Well,
it?
and who's going to stop him? I mean, I was asking experts about the Fed chief. You know, he probably can't fire the Fed chief. And then you hear people say, but who's going to stop him? Republicans in Congress? No. You know,
Supreme Court, perhaps, but not
You know, who's going
likely.
to? There's just nobody to stop the president from doing what he wants to do, and he is full bore on
Nobody's
crypto.
going to want to stop him from trying to mess around with Powell for political reasons and then potentially send the stock market.
So this morning he did say he's
down?
going to be out soon. It sounds to me, I mean, I'm listening to every single word this guy says, you know, about what are they going to do with Powell. It sounds to me like he is grudgingly accepting that Powell's going to be there until May, but he's going to keep the pressure on him.
I'm not sure about that
Really?
still. I still think with the investigation into the cost overruns for enhancing the Federal Reserve's headquarters, that they're still trying to establish a legal precedent for malfeasance or cause in which they could try to fire
Some
him.
of these cost overruns are because of things that Trump appointees told them to do. They wanted the marble back up.
It costs as much money as it's costing.
Oh, because there's a ton of asbestos. These are really old buildings. They wanted to dig like a basement level, and they get down there and the water table is too high. Just like one thing after another, which happens in Washington, D.C. on these
And
old
construction
buildings.
costs are 30% above where they were when they started
Yeah.
this project.
And
And
so
they have to use a certain marble.
Well, so
they got away from that.
This was dispute about the marble. They're not using this marble, but there aren't rooftop terraces. There aren't private elevators. They're just fixing
No
this stuff.
VIP dining rooms.
No VIP dining rooms. But it's just also this is not taxpayer money. The
Right.
Fed is self-funded. It has its own security.
For cause, can the Supreme Court say, no, we already established that this was an independent agency?
They could, but how long is that going to take? I mean, would you have some kind of crisis of leadership between now and May when he was going to be out of the job anyway?
Is it going to send the stock market down? I mean, we keep talking about how the stock market's going to react negatively to Donald
So
Trump's
far not.
tariff
Yes, we know.
policies.
Record
We hit
highs.
a record high
Record highs.
yesterday.
Yeah, and even today we're flirting with those levels. Look, I do think in the longer run, if they politicize the Federal Reserve to such an extent that it becomes an arm of the Treasury for all intents and purposes, that will be bad for financial markets. More directly, the U.S. dollar and the full faith and credit of U.S. Treasuries and our borrowing costs will go up. I think if that
That would mean
happens.
higher inflation. That'd be higher interest rates.
And higher inflation.
Right.
Yeah.
If the Fed chair is somebody that's going to, operate independently, maybe it mean lower interest rates if it's a Donald Trump Fed chair and
But
he's
there's
demanding lower
12
interest
people.
rates.
You could have a Donald Trump Fed chair there who says we want to lower interest rates, and everybody else says, nope, that's not what the data shows us. And you have essentially a Powell echo FOMC.
You can. And listen, Powell could stay for 2 years as governor after being removed as chairman if it needs something. I would 100%. I would absolutely stay.
Would you?
100%.
Right.
Having said that,
He's got a tough job. It's hard to be a punching bag every day, I bet.
it is, but by the same token, I think, and Mohammed Al-Arian, who we know is a financial professional, said that Powell should resign to kind of put an end to all this. I disagree vehemently with that position. I think he should stay for as long
That's
as he
a rare
possibly
voice,
can.
too.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
He's a rare voice.
We're going to leave it there. Got a lot done today. Thank you. I like having you guys together.